Hey Prince, how are you? I started out with an easy vase today. Already has kind of a built-in catch for the glaze, which is nice. So I don't have to draw a whole bunch of stuff on. Oh, that's great that you got something working. That's awesome. Always a good feeling. Well, thanks for saying that about the shape. Yeah, the shape kind of goes in um, at the bottom here. I cut into it and then created a bit of a kind of a foot at the bottom. I have a vase that is like this that I bought in Denmark, and so I just wanted to see if I could kind of copy the shape. Her shape is a little more exaggerated, so next time I'll need to really mean it. I have like a tickle in my throat and it is making me want to cough and I don't like it. I'm just gonna do all of these at once, put the wax on well, maybe not all at once. Some of these can't stand upside down. That one can. Uh-oh, hope that's water and not wax. yeah, I'm hoping that I'm able to get a bunch done too. For the next, what I'm working on now are ramen bowls. Bud vases take a lot longer than ramen bowls. So, hopefully, this next round of throwing is a little bit faster. Yeah, noodle bowls are a lot easier than bud vases because it's this kind of like the same shape. With bud vases, you're usually trying out a bunch of different shapes, and they're harder to trim when you get to that stage. So they're smaller, but they're, in my opinion, a lot harder. I also think they're a lot of fun, but they are not easy to do a lot of, at least for me. Each one takes quite a bit of time. I'm going to start with those two. And let's see. I already know how I want to do this one. So this one I am going to get that green tea glaze, and I am going to paint it on. But I'm gonna try to see if I can get some dripping happening down the side. So do like a band of it, and there will be some drips. And then from there, I'll leave the outside, the rest of it, unglazed. So it'll be kind of this like white against this darker green. The green should oxidize a little bit. And maybe that's not the right word, but when it goes in the kiln with the way it fires, it should change a little bit of color, and like the parts where it is thicker should be different color than like the kind of main glaze. So I haven't glazed the other ones yet. I do them in a batch because they charge you per shelf. So I just batch everything. So I glaze all at once. So I'm not gonna know if I like it until I get it back, and that's okay. Oh my God, that was just the glaze that luckily I sealed. But yeah, I batch everything so that it's easier for me to get stuff done. That way I can take in like a whole box at once. So yeah, I'm not sure how it's gonna look. It's always an adventure. All right. So I'd got some water set aside to be able to do this glaze, but I actually don't think I need it. Let's see what size brush I want here. Sorry, I'm realizing I need to invest in some low shelves that move have like a tabletop, because I'm having quite a time. The tick marks are pencil, and then I painted, where's the camera? The tick marks are pencil, and then I painted the wax under them. The pencil just burns off and the wax just burns off. So you won't be able to see it. I just use it as a guideline so that I know what I'm doing as I'm painting the wax on. and I don't go too far out the lines. You can get a wax pencil, and the wax pencils will resist the glaze, and you typically do that if you were going to do designs. So if you're like painting on a specific design, that works really well. Okay, I'm gonna use this one, and we're just gonna see how this goes. I think I always practice before I start. Well, if I'm doing something new, I don't know. It's fine to get stuff wrong. It's art, but I'm like, I want to at least have attempted to plan, so that I know what I'm doing. So I think if I hold it like this, rather than straight up and down, I'll get some drips, but the drips will be a little bit less violent, so that I can stop them if I need to. Like if I need to stop the drip so that it doesn't go all the way to the bottom, I think I'll be able to do that. So I'm actually going to do a test run on the inside, because I'm going to glaze all that the same color anyway, and see if it does in fact drip. And it does. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna just do the inside green, because that was my plan. And then we'll come and do the outside momentarily. I just realized you can't really see. How do I fix it? It's a little better, yeah. I gotta work on this setup. I just got studio space at a public studio, and I've only been once. I think I'm going to go again either tomorrow or Friday. And that has been nice, just having space to spread out. I really am grateful for having that space. It's always a little difficult throwing in a new area, because you don't use your normal wheel, and different wheels have different speeds and different quirks, and so that's always a little bit of a learning curve. But it will be very nice to I get a whole like bench to spread out on, which is really nice. So, and I think when it's not COVID, they do little exhibits. So my goal next year is to get in one local shop, I think, because I do really enjoy doing this. And when you do pottery, people don't want to get that as a gift every time it's a birthday or or a holiday, so gotta give it away. All right, I have done the inside, so now let's be bold and try this outside. All right. Okay, so it looks like holding it more straight up was the right move, so I'm adjusting that. And you can see there's one drip making its way downtown. That was silly. Yikes. So yeah, so this is the first first glaze. I got to do a couple more, but you can see it's got some little drips. And then there will be more as I'm gonna do 2 coats, 3 coats, 3 coats. I think 3 coats is good. So, yeah, let's see. I'm gonna let that sit before I turn it too much, but yeah, it's kind of going around there, so just letting them fall where they will, and then I'll kind of connect that a little bit better next time. There's also the opportunity to do this on a wheel. So you put this on the wheel, and then you would put this back on the wheel, and then you would spin the wheel and paint as you go. That also works, but I chose not to do that because I didn't. There's no reason. I just didn't. So now I'm just waiting for this to dry. Be interested to see how this works out. I'm normally not like I like things a solid color. I'm not super creative with the glazing in my opinion, so just trying something slightly new. This clay body is so pretty when it is fired too. It's almost like porcelain in both color and kind of feel. It's very close. It has some porcelain in it, that's why. So it's, it's almost a crime to cover up porcelain. So I was like, I think it can handle not being fully glazed. If you're glazing it on the wheel to keep it from spinning off, you just have to have the wheel go pretty slowly. And honestly, it's a matter of trial and error because sometimes your stuff will fall off. And it's sad, but it happens. I have lost several pots trimming on the wheel because you get little pieces of clay to kind of try to pin it down. You can't really do that with, it's harder with dry clay, but when you're trimming, you try to get wet clay to kind of pin it down to the wheel, and sometimes it doesn't work, and then it just sort of like spins off. So yeah, you can control the speed. It can go very slow or super fast. Okay. So I think the other question I have that I didn't really think through is there's like the little spots that aren't drying, and so I don't know if I want to mess with the little drips. Like these drips are not drying very quickly, and I don't know if I'm gonna leave them. Maybe I'll leave them for now and not worry about it. Okay. Paint the inside again since it's dry. I'm gonna laugh so hard if all of this comes out gray. Be like, why? What the heck? Brush is even slightly too big. invest in an even smaller brush, I think, for some of these. Okay. All right, round 2. Oops. A little bit on my finger there. Got another drip forming, so. Okay. So we got a few more drips. We'll see how this looks once it's fired. It may be not as awesome as I'm hoping, but that's okay. Gotta try. And then I'll do one more coat, both on the inside and outside, and then call this one done. I cleaned my wheel today. It's been so long and it looks so good now that it's clean. And I'm like, oh, I can never use it again. Great. I think that there's so much time with ceramics that's spent cleaning. It is an act of just abundant mess and cleaning. I am going to fire these, honestly, hopefully tomorrow. Like, take them in to be fired. If I get them all glazed tonight, they're done. They'll be dry by tomorrow. Like tomorrow morning. So I will be able to take them in during lunch or something if I want. And I don't see any reason why I wouldn't be able to finish glazing them tonight. So, and then it usually just takes a couple days for them to finish firing and I get it back. So, and then I have to take pictures and put them up in the store. So, oh, interesting. One of those little drips made it all the way down, all the way to the glaze, or all the way to the wax. Yeah, we'll see how this one turns out. This is way more like artistic than I normally do. I said that like it was a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Everybody's got an aesthetic, and we all gotta Try new things. I don't know how people do it so that it doesn't like go too far down. It's a technique I'll have to learn. I think there is a technique where you really like layer the glaze on a lot and just in a band at the top. Don't let it drip. And then when it fires, it all melts and it drips a little bit. I've seen that too. Maybe I'll try that on another one. I don't really have a good one to try that on. I have one that a bud vase that I'm making for a friend that's here, and that's the one I'm most concerned about, just because I don't want to mess it up. Because I was like, oh, I could do it on that one. But to be honest, I'm afraid of trying a new technique on that, so I don't know that I don't think I have the gumption to do that. Okay, it's almost dry. That glaze is kind of thick, so I might only do 2 coats. No, it's just hard to gauge because you want uneven coating. Otherwise, it'll all just sort of melt into like it doesn't really glaze properly if there's not enough glaze in. It doesn't it just, because the glaze is metal, basically, it doesn't work very well if you don't use enough. So you'll get like patchy spots in your ceramic, and that is always irritating. So trying to find the balance of not enough and too much. So if the glaze is thick enough, it like all glaze drips during firing. It's just a matter of how much. And that depends on how hot the kiln is, the type of clay you're using and how porous it is, the thickness of the glaze and the metals within the glaze. All of that kind of contributes to the amount of run that the glaze will have. You will always get some. So that's why, they recommend a certain amount away from about like this far, like you've got a fingernail length away from the edge. So that you can account for dripping so it doesn't drip onto the shelf. But you can make your glaze run more with by doing it thicker or by mixing it with other glazes or by putting it over other glazes, and that makes it run more. I don't know enough about specific metal, like how the specific metals work, to know which ones do that more than others, but there's definitely technique to it to get it to run in a way that you like. Okay, gonna do one more coat, and I'm just gonna kind of do a band. I'm not gonna try to get it to run more, just because I think it needs it. Okay, so that one is done, and it will be exciting to see how it turns out. So here we go. I do think there's a spot. How can I show you? There's a spot here that's really thick, and I think that's going to make a big old drip. So that will be interesting. It's always interesting to see how the glaze ends up. It's not always what you expect. Okay. Next up is this one. I don't really have a plan for it. So when I don't have a plan for it, I kind of like to just sit and look at it. It's a very scientific way of deciding. And I kind of think about the shape of it and how it's going to be used and what parts you'll see. So the really fun thing I think about doing functional pottery is that your stuff is meant to be used, right? So the way that it looks sitting like this is not really the complete state. It's a complete state when whatever it's intended for is being done. Like whatever you expect the person to do with it is being done. So like this is a vase for flowers. So, you know, I always try to imagine like what are the flowers going to be? Like they might be tall, they might be really big, they probably won't be drapey, so I don't need to worry about if I put a design on here, it's not going to be covered. Like if I wanted to do some type of exposed ceramic, that would probably be fine. And then I try to just think about like what colors I like and what I want to put on it. So I have a lot of white stuff and green tea stuff already, green stuff from my last dipping glaze. So I don't know that I want to do that. Because this shape is easier for me to do and I'm familiar with it and I'm kind of less precious about this one, I think I am going to go out on a limb and try to do a little bit thicker band but not make it drip, and then leave some exposed area on the bottom. And I think I'm going to try this dark blue that I haven't opened and haven't tried yet, because I need to open it and use it today anyway. And so I think this is a good one that it's worth experimenting on. Like I like it and it's enough surface area to experiment on, but I don't like it so much that I want a guarantee. So let me work on that, getting that up. Okay. I know that was a weird thought process to go through probably, but I don't know. Sometimes you have pieces that you've got like a clear vision for them based on just looking at them. You're like, oh, I want to do this. Or you have a clear vision before you start of what you want. Like I have a piece that I'm gonna start working on when I get in the bigger studio because I need a chuck to throw it. But I have a very good vision of this one piece, so I know what it's gonna look like start to finish. But this one is one of those ones that you just don't know. Okay, so this is a really dark blue. The lighting here is just atrocious, but I promise you this is a very pretty blue. I don't have any of my pieces down here to show you, but this is the color on my Twitch stream. There's a dark blue vase in the background that's like the cover, and it's this glaze. So I am very fond of this glaze. Everyone is very fond of this glaze here. It's always hard to find. Typically you will either paint glaze on like I did a minute ago, or you will put it in a bucket with some water and go from there. And you can see that there's this water on top here. So I need to mix this up. Before I can do anything. Let me get my whisk. My whisk! I have my unicorn slippers on today. It is so cold down here. Just Oh, good. I don't think that fits. Does that fit? Okay. Oh, wow. This is way thinner than I thought it was going to be. All right. I'm going to have to paint this on, like even to the other one. All right. Good to know. So the metals kind of all settle at the bottom. So you've really got to work your whisk, get in there, really mix it up, or else the color doesn't come out. I will say, I am super impressed with these Mako glazes. Like the consistency and the ability to like stay cohesive, really impressive. Mako does not pay me to say that. I've never used them before. We'll see how the color comes out. But if they are super consistent, like it's always a jackpot when you find a glaze that's really consistent, because it is not easy to do. Well, that's not true. It's like, not that it's not easy, it's just like glazing can just be a real crapshoot, you know? So when you find a glaze that is super consistent, it's very nice. Okay. That feels right. Did not prepare to put this whisk somewhere. Always prepare, people. That sort of works. Okay, good enough. All right. Let's try this. So you can see on this one, I've made this like little shelf almost. So it's like a little curved area. So I still waxed the bottom, but I'm only gonna glaze to here if I end up glazing the whole thing, and I'm trying to decide if I want to do that or not. Trying to imagine kind of like what the end state of this might be, just so that I can plan appropriately. And then if I don't do the whole thing, like how far down do I want to go and how far do I want to leave exposed? Because if I leave like that much, like this much exposed, is that going to look neat or like a mistake? I think if I glaze to here, that will be good. Yeah, okay, that's what I'm going to try. All right, let's see how this stuff paints on. It's thinner than the other one, like a lot thinner, but I have mixed it, so here's to hoping. Also, this glaze is brown and it's supposed to be dark blue, so again, misleading colors. I think I'm actually going to, I have that one for my friend, and so she's aware that I that I've got it and it's coming. I'm not going to glaze it tonight because the consistency of this glaze is kind of freaking me out, and I would rather wait and test it before glazing that one if it doesn't work. So if I paint the bottom and not the top, do you mean like if I paint it from the bottom? I could do that, yes, and that would work to make it not drip. That's actually a really good idea. I probably will do that because this is very drippy. Thanks. Yes, that would work. Yeah, it's a good idea. Because it's pretty watery. I hope it works because I love this color. Guess I could have painted the inside white. Not anymore. Too late for that now. It's okay. It'll be a good test. This is turning into a bit of an experiment. Okay. The other thing is you have to make sure that you get all the spots or else your piece is not watertight, which is always very irritating when you find out that you have missed a spot because the water can kind of seep through. So I'm going to do what you suggested. And I think I'm trying to move this. I think I'm going to try to do this on the wheel so that I can get an actual band. So let me point this at the wheel. Just give me 1 minute. Work. Yes. Okay. And I think I can't use those. I don't want to do this. I've got it. That. Nope. bear with me. I'm trying to get a little cup to catch the glaze. Because I don't want this to go all over my wheel. Okay. Let's try that. That should work pretty well. Now I just have to very slowly turn this on so that it doesn't fly all over. Okay. I actually kind of like that effect that it's got, where it is a little bit less glazed, where the brush didn't quite hit. Kind of looks cool. See if that translates when it glazes, or when it fires. But it's a pretty cool looking idea. Okay. So I'm going to do a minimum of 3 coats on this, just because it feels thin. Eee. Okay. Neat. Super curious as to what that's going to look like. While I keep doing that, I'm like cautiously optimistic that that is going to look kind of rad. Yeah, so that's looking kind of cool. If you can see if I can make that easier to see. It's got like texture to it. Wish it would focus. There you go. So, anyway, I think it might actually come out looking really cool. Deciding if I need one more coat. It actually is looking fairly thick, so I don't think I'm going to do a third coat because I'm worried about it being too thick. So I think we'll call that done. Ta-da! See how that looks when it comes out. It's exciting. New techniques. Okay. Put this over here. And I'm not sure if the brush strokes are visible after firing. We're gonna find out. I'm not sure because sometimes, like if the glaze is thick enough, you don't see them, and if it's thin, you do. And again, it depends on how much the glaze drips. If it's really thin, it might not drip, so you'll still get the line. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. I'm really excited to see how it turns out. Like, I guess if I think about it, like if we see this one, the glaze is so thick that we will likely not see any brush strokes. But I think at least the brush strokes on the bottom of this other one will be visible just because it's so thick. Or, sorry, it's so thin. The glaze is so thin. But I'm actually not totally sure. It depends so much on the way the glaze works and how thick it is, and I just don't know. Because I've only dipped with this one. I've only dipped into the blue. So yeah, so it's going to be an adventure. Okay, so this is the last one. I need to do, this one has a little bit of a foot that you can see on it, so there's like a little crevice. It actually, you do that to help balance so that you don't have to balance on all the surface area. What do I want to do? This one is going to be a tiny bit of a challenge because I have to get the inside glazed, and I don't have a, I'm going to have to dip it in some way to glaze it, I think. So that's not the end of the world. I'm just thinking about what color I want it to be then. I think I'm going to try to just like glaze it to here. To here. Can't even see it. To about there. So I'm not going to wax this. I'm just going to kind of YOLO. See what happens. I think I need to dip it in. Just trying to think. I want to do it in this blue, but I don't know that I have a good way to get the inside painted. I meant to buy a thing to pour glaze, and I forgot. Let's see. Where would that? Might be able to just use this. We're gonna try. Okay. Ta-da. So that should be all glazed inside. And then let that sit for a second. Need a flashlight. I don't have my phone down here. It looks glazed. Just gonna do that one glaze for that because it kind of sat in there, so I think that should be good enough. And then I'm gonna tip this over and just glaze it in a, like glaze it to right before where my finger is, and try that. When you glaze, when you dip in like this, it creates a vacuum. And so none of the glaze will get in. That's why I had to glaze it myself by pouring it in. So I don't know if it'll fit. Oh no. That's funny. That's fine. I'm actually going to glaze this a couple more times, like dip it a couple more times, and just leave this band and see what that looks like. And then sometimes I need water. I'll be able to take this extra glaze off that I don't want. Just need to wait a second for this to dry a little more. That could actually look super cool. So there's this like kind of band situation going on. I'm gonna clean this up. So these are ready to fire. I'm gonna take them in tomorrow and should be done in a week at the most. And I'll show y'all what happens. I'm very excited since we tried some new stuff today. Okay. Get that there. Oh my gosh. Make sure that I close this, because that would be a tragedy. Next, I'm going to start experimenting with slip. So slip is just clay that is made to be specific colors. And with slip, you can paint, you can put slip on the bottom of your clay and stuff, and it won't stick. So your stuff stays basically clay on, the slip is clay, it's just colored. So anyway, it's a really cool technique that I have not tried. So next time I will try that. I need to get some water. So I can need to get some water so that I can try to get some of this glaze off. May not work, which is fine. Okay. Need a sponge. Need to not drop my sponge. Let's see if this will come out. Yep. So even if you don't wax, you can usually get the clay out the glaze out just by using some water. You thin it out and then it becomes so thin that it just doesn't do anything. So that is what I'm doing now, since I got a rogue spot of glaze that I did not want. Important to be thorough. Rogue Spot of Glaze is your new band name. I think it's a good band name. I approve. I think I got it all out, so it should be fine. Famous last words, right? Okay, so that one is also done. Everything is ready to fire. Such excitement. Hooray. So let's look. We got this one. Ooh, yeah, we got this one. That has a nice little ring around the top, and we'll see how that kind of drips. It's got also like different layers of glaze with the same blue, so I'm really interested to see what that does. And then we have a couple others in here. We've got this one that is a cute little green. It's going to be like a dark green bud vase. Fun little shape. You can see that it's got like kind of these cool edges. I like this one. It was a fun one to make. I mean, they're all fun to make. This one will be a shiny white, and it's just a little kind of one bud vase. This one is the one we did that was green tea on the top over alabaster, which will be a matte white. And then we have this one that's gonna see if how the drips work. I need to clean some of this off. Okay, so that one is ready. And then yeah, that one will be, the one with the drips on it will be natural with the white clay, and it will be a dark green tea, so like a light green. This one is going to be dark blue, and we'll see if these paint lines stay or what they do. There's when I threw this, I left some ridges in there on purpose to create a little texture, so we'll see if that comes through at all. I'm not entirely sure that it will. Yeah, this one is blue and natural. So, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah, the other one with the long neck is blue and natural as well. So this brown color is a dark blue. Yep. So yeah, we will see how they turn out. All right, that's it. I will see you probably next week. So thanks so much. Bye.